The New York City subway just got worse, apparently.
We begin with that brazen attack on one of the city's busiest transit hubs, Grand Central.
One formed by MOS at this time.
The individual was armed with a large knife, described as a machete, and was behaving erratically, repeatedly stating that he was Lucifer.
Wow.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says officers attempted to de-escalate and help the man, but he approached them with the knife before one officer...
How are people still defending the subway as being safe?
The individual refused to comply with at least 20 orders to drop the knife.
Police say surveillance showed Griffin boarding a 7 train at the Vernon Boulevard station in Queens at around 9:30. Once at Grand Central, police say he moved upstairs to the 4, 5, and 6 platform. All 3 victims were taken to Bellevue Hospital and are expected to survive.
Now it's a little panic under there.
We get out and all of a sudden we're herded down the aisles. There's police, there's dogs.
Passengers were directed to use the Park Ave and 42nd Street entrance.
You know, and every time this happens, what are we told? We're told, oh, it's a minority of incidents. Oh, most people are perfectly safe down there. You got nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, this person was on one train where they did something and then they got off at a very busy station and went to another platform and did something else. They were all over the place. They were on a spree.
As an exit only, and were given bus vouchers as the MTA spent Saturday working to restore service on 4 through 7 lines at Grand Central. Officials say no officers were hurt and that the victims were believed to have been attacked at random.
It is exactly why we've recently increased our presence in the transit system. We recently added more than 175 additional officers to subway patrol.
So this is after 100 extra officers were put on the subway to patrol it. Can you imagine if those officers weren't there? This happened after a surge of police.
Transit advocate Charlton D'Souza with Passengers United says more mental health resources should be present at transit hubs.
You need clinicians, you need psychologists, and you need them down there to help them. Once passengers have that traumatic experience, they don't want to come down in the subway system anymore.
But having a psychologist try and de-escalate a situation with a guy who refuses commands 20 times and is armed and dangerous, that's supposed to be a recipe for success?
A 44-year-old man attacked 3 people around 9:30 this morning before police confronted him. Officers gave him more than 20 commands to drop his machete-style knife. When he didn't, they opened.
It's not a knife.
This is reported hearing several shots inside Grand Central Terminal near the 456. He had 3 prior arrests, including for grand larceny and criminal trespass. Now, things have resumed. They're back to...
So the guy that had a sword and was able to run around the subway and go about his business, which is very frightening, had a prior record, was never put in jail, was never taken off the streets. How are we going to keep people safe in a city that releases all of its criminals? That's the problem here. We have a freed criminal running around doing things criminals shouldn't be allowed to do, and which they can't do if they're in jail.
Random attack around 9:40 this morning. The violence started on the 7 train platform before making his way to the 456 platform.
He then advanced toward the officers with the knife extended. They gave clear commands. They attempted to de-escalate. And when that threat did not stop, they took decisive action to stop it.
The police...
Right. So we're supposed to think that an unarmed social worker is going to do better than the police. If someone's not afraid of the police, I don't think they're going to be afraid of the other passengers. And clearly this individual wasn't. And what you're not hearing is that this kind of stuff is seconds away from happening every single day people ride the subway.
Touch me. Get your down, just like this man said.
This is your average commute.
What? I don't know what you said. What do you got? You got a gun in there? Don't worry about that. I'm not worried if you have a gun. I just want to know.
Wow.
I don't know what that means. You said you press your force. You said you press your force.
This is Grand Central.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what he's saying, but he's going after people.
Making the wrong mistake, pal.
Okay, did you hear that? In the background, there's a loudspeaker announcement saying, "Don't worry, everything's fine. Police are at the next station." Meanwhile, on the train, we have what looks like a very dangerous situation about to unfold, which shows that New York City's only answer to any of this mayhem is just a reaction.
Connection is available to the Long Island Railroad.
Look at this guy.
I'm going to court. I know where you're going.
Look at him.
Oh, yeah.
He's jabbing at people.
Keep your hands off. Don't ever touch me.
Whoa.
There's no next step. I did not work. I'm kidding. I got to go to court. I got anyone.
This is awful, man. Look at this. Oh, they got the National Guard down there. Oh, they had the National Guard down there. What's crazy is that the National Guard's been in the subway for 2 years now. We've had a full-time National Guard deployment down there before Trump even got back into office. And it's not doing anything to quell the violence, because every time we've got a violent person in the back of a police car, we let them out. That's our system. And this is just making its way into our public transit system for some reason. And this is having a really bad effect, not just on the subway itself, but on all the infrastructure connected to it. You see, the city doesn't just have a problem getting people to pay to ride the trains, because you've got criminals and people breaking into the train all the time. They've also got a problem getting businesses to pay for all the empty commercial spaces. We've got massive malls built around the subway, but nobody wants to have a store in there. Why? Because we've got crazy people that draw the attention of the National Guard and are going after other people just on a random commute. The people that are in the train, they don't want to be in the train any longer than they have to be. They don't want to be in the subway spending money. They want to use it as infrequently as possible. And transit here is just becoming an absolute nightmare more and more every single day. And the city has no answer to any of this. And it's happening on the buses too.
An driver is recovering in the hospital after what he and his union call a unprovoked attack on the job. As Tony Aiello reports, police are still looking for the alleged assailant.
It is the U-turn at the end of the line for New York City buses here on Riverdale Avenue, where the Bronx and Yonkers meet. And this was the scene around 8:30 Saturday night as a bus attempted a U-turn.
Some type of contact was made where he had to get out of the bus, to observe the damage that was done to the bus, and the person in the other vehicle, who has not been apprehended yet, was just went absolutely crazy.
He calls it an unprovoked assault on a worker doing his job, and it has unsettled other drivers, including one who spoke to me on camera.
I'd be terrified.
Not so much in shock, because the way the world is today, it's what's happening all over. Kind of worried, they're afraid, because could this happen to them,
Okay, so the problem is this is not happening all over. It's happening all over New York City, yes, because we have people who get arrested several times, get brought before a judge, and then get set free. And those people are allowed in public, whether they're on the subway, whether they're driving around in a car somewhere. How many prior offenses or interactions with law enforcement does somebody have to have before they just fly off the handle and assault a public employee when that public employee is driving a bus which has cameras, right? The idea that we didn't get a license plate, the idea that nobody saw this in public is just ridiculous. But it just goes to show you these criminals fear nothing.
Authorities do say this appears to have been an unprovoked assault.
Yeah, it's all unprovoked because we've got the wrong people out on the streets.
People at the Lexington Avenue and East 63rd Street station
it's a nice
waiting for
neighborhood
their
too.
train Sunday with an extra eye on their surroundings.
It just kind of reminds you that you do have to watch your back, regardless of where you are in the city, what time it is.
The NYPD says 2 men, 83 and 31, were onto the tracks of the downtown F train. Officers responded to a 911 call around 11:40 a.m.
It kind of sheds light on what can happen even when your head's in a place of that's not going to happen. A lot of
Now, why are people in a place where it's not going to happen? It's because our leaders have been telling us in New York for years now that the subway is safe. Don't worry about the police. Don't worry about the National Guard. You've got a better chance of winning the lottery than you have being a victim down here. That's what they tell us. They give us these statistics that say, well, most people make it to work every day, so I guess it's safe and you shouldn't feel unsafe.
A lot of crazy stuff happened, and then we're in New York City.
Taking the train with her daughter, Lenise says the incident is a reminder to always be prepared.
Get me some bear mace and a
some bear mace.
Why do we need to think like that?
If there's an open area like right here, or I'll stand real close to here. My back is turned against a surface, so nobody can come from behind me.
Others like Justin
terrible.
Espino calling subway pushes a forceful reality of city living.
Everyday Citizens app notification, somebody got pushed. We have to wait for a train now. Everybody's late to work, but...
So people are getting the truth from the Citizen app. They're getting the truth from social media. They're finding out how often this stuff is happening, even though the local government here does everything possible to try and hide it, to try and make it sound like, hey, we're already on top of it. Hey, we got all these police down there. Hey, we got troops everywhere. It's all a facade. We've got strength in numbers on the platforms, but that doesn't even work because then we find out that people are marauding platforms in places like Grand Central, which are the busiest train stations. It is the busiest train station in the entire country, running around with a weapon.
Wait for a train now. Everybody's late to work, but the sad truth is we're desensitized to it.
But he says that should not be the case.
There's a lot of people like EDPs around here as well, mental illness, and I feel like they need help the most.
The subway stations that I used to go to, they now have the installed fences. So that's really good.
Oh, the platform barriers, they don't all have that.
And we do not have any details from police on if those two men who were pushed knew each other. According to police, they are looking for a man wearing a gray jacket, a red hat, tan pants, and green shoes, but we do not have more details about what that person looks like.
This is just the stuff that makes the news. Bus and train robberies climbed 21% from the same period last year, and it will only get worse. There were 128 muggings on trains and buses as of April, a 21% surge over the 106 from the same period last year. Felony assaults are down from 171 to 160, but that sum does not include, some recent attacks and the machete attack. Misdemeanor assaults are also up. Petty larceny is up. What's the good news about the subway down here? Is there any good news? I don't think it's a safe place at all. Under the former mayor, Eric Adams, the NYPD deployed 300 additional officers for train patrols in January, and cops specifically targeted overnight shifts with 2 officers per train. So officers were riding the train. Crime went down, but overtime cuts in the new Mamdani budget reduced those patrols. Oh, so we don't have the patrols on the trains anymore because we're spending money in New York City on other things. Great, that'll certainly turn the tide of public safety. But there's another problem because New Yorkers, they're not getting any of the free stuff the mayor promised them. Look at this.
Next year begins a new era of fast and free buses.
Free buses.
Make the slowest buses in the country fast and free. Making buses free.
Mayor Mamdani now says free buses won't happen for this year at least. He told Politico, quote, "I'm absolutely committed to making buses fast and free, and we're encouraged by the conversations we're having with the governor and legislative leaders to take action on that 2026 as a first step." Jesse,
no buses,
no free buses.
Yeah, so I asked AI who's done this before, and the only city in the country that's done this is Kansas City. And Kansas City did it in 2020, and they just reinstated fares. Why? Because they lost so much money and because of passenger behavior.
So look at that. When you make something free, criminals will use it. The fare actually protects people from dangerous individuals that might want to go into that environment and do something they're not supposed to. Which means if we end up getting the free buses, the subway and the public transit here is just going to get worse. Once people stop paying for the buses, you think they're going to pay for the subway? No, they're going to want that to be free too.
Passenger behavior mean to you? I think we know. And so what happened was it became such an issue because people would ride the bus without a destination. What does that mean to you? It became a homeless shelter on wheels. That's what's going to happen in New York City. But I do like his pothole politics. The man, in the first 100 days, Dana, filled 100,000 potholes in New York City.
This has got to be confusing to Zoran's backers. Yeah. They were told they get free buses. How hard is that? Just make them free. People can get on them. You don't have to pay for it. What's the problem? But then you have to explain to them, because they're stupid, that, it's not really free. Other people pay for it, like your neighbors, your boss, your landlord. Pretty soon they're going to leave, and then you're really screwed. You'll not only be walking to work, you won't be walking to work because you won't have a job. I think Zoran is harmful to civil society because he looks at...
The other thing is, if your boss sticks around, but he's got to pay for your free stuff, Where's he going to get the money? Where's that money going to come from? What else does he pay for? Well, he pays for employees. So bosses are going to cut back on hours. They're going to cut back on what they spend. They're going to cut back on perks. There's not going to be any more pizza day at work. This is all a disaster, and none of it is good for public transit at all. It's not like we're going to have good free public transportation. When is anything free ever good? It doesn't work that way. It's concerning because summer is coming, a former detective says. I think that just shows that the police department is really short on uniformed officers. Yeah, no kidding. I'm sure the bad guys are realizing it too. He says they can almost predict where police are going to be and they're timing it. I mean, that's sad. That's dangerous. And this is the busiest transit system in the entire country. This is the most iconic subway system in the world. And look, last week, the commissioner, she boasted of an overall drop in crime. Meanwhile, the real problem here is the crimes that people care about, assaults, attacks, that stuff's going up. So whatever crimes are bringing that down, maybe they got less crime that nobody cares about, but the crimes that people are scared of, I mean, that's what's happening. That's happening down here in the subway. Look at this guy. He said he's very scared being in the subway. Who's this? Guy attacked 3 people? Great. Robbery increase was 54% in January and February compared to the same period in 2025. Coinciding with record cold temperatures. So we blame the cold temperatures when robberies go up in the subway, and then we blame the warm weather when other types of crime goes up in the subway. It's never the fault of our legal system that won't put somebody in jail when they do something wrong. It's never the fault of judges who look at a violent, dangerous criminal and say, you know what, he said he's sorry, I guess we should set him free. The safety on trains is not good right now, said an assistant superintendent for one of the city's housing establishments. They need to ride the trains. To stand outside the station is one thing, but to ride the trains would be a big help. Yeah, we were doing that, but the new budget of the new mayor doesn't do that anymore. We don't have people riding the trains, so instead we've got these individuals riding the trains. The city needs to flood the subway with cops for the summer. I think we need to flood the subway with cops all the time, and I think we need to flood our jails with criminals. If we won't load up our jails, who's going to stop these people? Certainly not a system that releases them. What do you think about that? I will see you in the next video.